got the wrong meeting. Hold on one second. I need the regular meeting, not the town meeting. Good evening. This is the regular meeting of the Administration and Public Works Committee, and we do have a quorum. Chairman Rainey will be joining us shortly, but in the meantime, we'll get started. Can we have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the September 9th meeting?
I move approval of the minutes.
Second.
Are there any additions or corrections? Not all in favor? Aye, okay. On items for consideration, first is A1, which is the City of Evanston's payroll through September 8th, 2013, in the amount of $2,787,055.58.
I move approval of the payroll.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Only heard one aye.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. A2, City of Evanston bills for through 9/24/13 in the amount of $5,395,610.95. Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay, the bills list is in front of you, and if you'd like to take a minute to take a look at it, if you didn't get a chance to see it before you came. And I'm still not going to pass it. Oh, here she comes now, because I don't want to pass it until Alderman Rainey gets here, because she may have questions on it. So take a couple of minutes and look at the bills list. Any comments? I'm going to pass it for now. I'm not going to move it until Marini gets here. So we'll just move on to A31, which is the approval of the purchase of trees and planting services for the fall planting from the Suburban Tree Consortium in the amount of $57,055. I think we want to point out that the effort for the replanting express, there's been $20,000 raised from that.
Second.
Okay.
If I may.
Alderman Grover.
Thank you, Madam
Alternate.
Substitute Chair. Yeah, I really want to say thank you to every single Evanston resident and beyond who contributed to the Citizen Investor crowdfunding of additional trees for Evanston's landscape of almost $20,000, maybe $20,000 by today, and which will account for at least 100 more trees in our urban. I think it's wonderful.
Right.
It worked.
I have Heart Evanston trees. So.
Hi, Hart, Evanston.
Okay, so it's been moved in second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Alderman Burris, will you do A3.2?
Approval of single-source purchase of front-end loader repair services from Westside Tractor Sales Company in the amount of $33,106.44.
It's been moved in second. Are there any questions, comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Alderman Grover.
As to item A 3.3 is our approval of a contract with Heartland Business Systems for the Evanston VoIP, that stands for Voice over Internet Protocol phone system, in the amount of $68,830.96.
Is there a second? Moved in, yes, so you would second. Okay, it's been moved in second. Are there any questions, comments? Not all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Alderman Breath would take
Sure.
4.
Item 8.4, approval of expenditure of public education and government funds, or PEG funds, to the City of Evanston, ECTV, Evanston Skokie School District 65, and Evanston Township School District 202 for equipment purchases used to support PEG channels. Staff recommends expending $100,000 for the equipment purchase for the 4 Evanston PEG channels. ECT requests approximately $71,600, $30,000 for School District 202, and $6,500 for School District 65. I'll move it. Move for approval, yeah.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Are there any questions, comments?
I think I just want to, if I may, Madam Substitute Chair, get clarification that these are not funds that come out of our general fund. Rather, these are funds that come out of franchise fees that come to us through the state of Illinois. So, and we are essentially the distributor of these franchise fees to the various governmental entities.
Yes. Chairman Rainey and Alderman Grover Bansminkowski, Assistant to the City Manager, you are absolutely correct. These come through the franchise fees, and then they are dedicated only for equipment purchases. And one of those examples are the very nice cameras that we have in this room. These would be going to the 2 school districts as well as to ECTV.
There's no other comments in, all in favor? Any opposed? So now we'll turn it over to, Chair Rainey, beginning with A. You want to go back to those? 5 to 6, please. Oh, I'm sorry.
I had a minor dental emergency that I had to take care of. Okay, so we're on the bills, right? They have been?
We have, but we thought maybe you might have questions on it.
Okay, well, I do, but I'll let it pass. All right, all those in favor of approving the bills, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so the next item we're on is single audit.
Yeah.
Is that
I
correct?
move A5, I move approval of single audit for fiscal year 2012. Staff recommends City Council review and place on file the single audit report for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2012.
Any discussion of this? This is the audit for those who aren't on the council and who are in television land, for all the federal funds that we receive and spend. And the audit involved approximately $11.2 million, which is, money not coming out of your property tax. It's money you send to Washington and comes back. Alderman Grover.
I think we'd call these funded mandates as opposed to the unfunded.
Or some
type.
of them were our own
Right.
ideas.
Exactly.
Anyway, all right. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting and filing the single audit, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is ordinance 97-013. Who's up for that one?
I'll move ordinance 97-013, sale of surplus vehicles and equipment that are now owned by the city that we don't want to own anymore.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Ordinance 102-0-13, decrease in the Class B liquor license due to changes in ownership of Flat Top Grill at 707 Church Street.
That's for introduction.
This is for
All
introduction.
right. You want to do, all those in favor of
Well, somebody wants to speak.
Oh, they do. I beg your pardon. Oh,
Good evening. My name is Zubin Kamula. I'm counsel for Flat Top Grill, so
Okay.
I'm just here on their
for
behalf.
which owner? The current owner or the new owner?
The incoming owner.
Incoming owner.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm here to answer any questions that you may have about.
They're out of
the
town,
project.
right?
I'm sorry?
They're out of town?
Yes, they're
not local?
they purchased the entire chain out of bankruptcy. They're a California corporation, and they're also in the hospitality industry in California.
And what about any changes? Do you foresee any changes?
There's not going to be any changes whatsoever. Same management,
I
same
saw that,
staff,
yeah.
same menu, just change in the entity that holds the liquor license.
So it's going forward, it's going to be Flat Top Grill?
Yes, it will.
As we know it.
It will stay the same.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for this gentleman? Thank you for coming. We
Thank you.
appreciate that. All right. All right, Alderman Holmes, you moved to introduce the
102.
ordinance, right. All those in favor of moving to the council?
Aye.
Any opposed? You want to do the next one?
Ordinance 103-0-13, increase in Class B liquor license due to changes in ownership of the Flat Top Grill at 707 Church Street. And that's moving for introduction.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item is on the consent agenda, and then we have several items for discussion. Interestingly, we have a snow discussion.
No, you need 9.
Oh, wait,
You need
let's see, 9.
Peter, you got 9?
Oh, the liquor, oh, that's right, yeah, we kept that in committee. All right, Alderman Braithwaite,
I'd like to move item A9, ordinance 90-0-13, proposed revisions to Title III, Chapter 4, Liquor Control Regulations.
Second.
all right, Alderman, who asked for that? Burris, you asked for the chart. We have the chart. I think, didn't you ask for the chart, or Grover? For the various, so that we could look all at one time and see what entity was under what license?
And- and- Yes.
I
and,
thought you were like a chart of the drinks? Yes, yeah. Yes, thank you.
Not the menu.
Sorry, you
Yeah.
caught me off guard, thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't
That's all right.
explain it very
Great.
well. I knew what I meant.
Yes, good.
Okay, so is that okay? Alderman Grover?
Yeah, and looking at the red line version, it's really quite a lot of work that has gone into revising, and essentially it's a wholesale renovation of our liquor code. It reads much better, it's more well-organized. It's eliminated the passive voice, it's just a much better document. I think it'll be more useful to business owners and council members in the future. So thank you, Mr. Farrar, for improving this product.
It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody, no one has any issues with it at all, huh? Have you heard from any of the licensees? I was going to wait till you got all the way back, but I...
Chair Rainey, members of the committee, Grant Farrar Corporation Council. We've not heard directly from some licensees. Some have become aware of the changes as they've percolated through the Liquor Control Review Board review and then the review before this committee. One thing that I just did want to follow up, a question, a comment that you made last time we were here was relative to the license fees. And as you know, we've not changed any of the fees. We tried to stay revenue neutral. However, with one proposed change to the code that deals with consolidating into one large class, new Class C in the restaurant and hotel core area, what that's going to be doing is that's going to be creating a larger group that consolidates two current groups, and the main change there is that all the proposed, all the licensees, all the current license holders would be able to serve alcoholic liquor, because what we've been seeing as we've gone through this process the last couple of years is individual licensees for all classes across the spectrum have been either wanting to sell liquor or totally get out of the business. And in terms of a staff standpoint and the work of the liquor board, we've had about 10 to 15 of these just going back and forth, and it's been sort of time consuming and a little cost prohibitive to go back and forth, and also to work with the licensee. So that is the one proposed change. It doesn't change the core area, it doesn't change the scope. The one thing that it would do is it would make some of those licensees their class, their license class going from $1,800 annually to $2,800. But what staff would propose to do is would grandfather the amounts for all the current licensees and then do it on a rolling forward basis. Staff is proposing that this ordinance take effect January 1, 2014 to allow some of the word to further get forth.
Keeping the fees the same forever, grandfathering them in forever? As
No,
long as they-
we would do it as an some of these renewals are starting to roll in. So
Right.
we've already had some conversations with them that it would not change. But, the issue of fees and taxes was something that I think was possibly going to be visited upon by this committee. I think that was the tone that, we took away from the last meeting, is that maybe it would be appropriate to look at that, because as I indicated at the last meeting, we don't really know where those fees came from. They're sort of grounded in a reality that may or may not exist, but there's no real rhyme or reason in terms of the money and tying it together. So
You had to have been there. I mean,
what?
you had to have been there. I mean, there was a rhyme or reason at the time. I can't remember what it was. I mean, we would agree on, but the problem that I had at our last meeting was a giant restaurant, let's say a Bravo, a great big restaurant, seats lots of people, and a little teeny restaurant, they all pay the same for the liquor license. And I think we should really look at that at some point.
Well, that's definitely a concern that was expressed, and we certainly hear you. I suppose maybe what staff could do as we sort of work through the mechanism of getting this online is to also now start taking the next step, looking at our comparables, see how they address it in terms of either a volume based on sales, if they peg it to a square footage, if there's something dealing with whether it's a multi-state corporation versus a local entity. I mean, there's many different ways that we can sort of look at, and we haven't to this point.
Alderman Braithwaite.
Thank you, Chair Rainey. Grant, one of the questions that I had and one of the feedback that I've received regarding one of the codes is particularly for the catering for beer and wine. And that price just, I don't know if I can say it's a little bit out of line, but the feedback that I've received that it's a bit high for caterers. And I'm not sure if the code designates the actual number, so if it's 20 versus 120. And then the other complaint on top of the 1,800 is typically businesses have to pay for security. So I'm curious to know if we can break that down based on the party size to make the fee make sense, I guess, for that.
Alderman Braithwaite, that's certainly an approach that we can look at. We have heard that issue raised with us in the past, and we do not do it because obviously it's, since this code is sort of a one-size-fits-all. So I think this is a great opportunity for the council to take a look at this and to, give us some ideas and some further feedback as we garner that from the community. The one-size-fits-all, it's convenient, but it's not necessarily practical or business effective.
All right, thanks a lot, Grant. That was an enormous amount of work.
Thank you.
I agree. All right, all those in favor of referring this to the council, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next, we're going to go into the items for discussion, and Marty Lyons would like to make a presentation.
Actually, Madam Chair, Alderman Rainey, and the committee, I have a presentation later, but I just request that since the single audit is going up on consent agenda, that I release Hilda Renteria, our single auditor, and let her go so she doesn't stay until the entire council meeting.
I think you should go home.
Thank you very much.
But thank you for your work, and we appreciate it. And it's always good to see exactly how much we got and how much we spent, so thank you. All right, so that snow parking fees discussion update, Mr. Mayworm. Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Jim Mayworm, Assistant Director of Public Works, Operations and Maintenance. Back on July 15th, we provided kind of an overview over the snow program and what some of the fine structure was at that time. Some of the general feelings were we weren't going to do a lot of changes to some of the fee structures, but you did ask some questions in regards to what was the overall cost for the operation, and we've done some analysis and found that some of our best opportunity to present the most complete picture came from 2007 and 2008. So in your packet, you'll find some tables that provide some descriptions as to what the true costs are for a theoretical average winter, and then what some of the revenues would be. And also, there are a couple of scenarios towards the bottom of the page in which, you know, we propose what it would look like if the fees were higher. Any questions about that?
I was just wondering, I know that we said we should leave the violation for parking in a snow route the same, 50, right? $50.
Correct. And there was some consensus, I believe, to increase the snow emergency
I
to
know,
match the snow route parking.
And you're
ban.
recommending 150?
And that would be for snow
the
relocation.
relocation, right.
Right, that's the actual physical tow and movement of the car so we can clear the roads. The objective is just really to try to impose the fines and fees on people that don't comply, and then, you know, really kind of recoup our costs for this type of operation. You know, this isn't an operation that we take very lightly. We understand the disruption and inconvenience to the residents, but in the same nature, it is essential from time to time.
And when we don't plow, we get complaints and, you know, so
I do,
you have to do it.
yes.
Okay. Alderman Grover.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mayworm. Looks like we've been able, I really appreciated the map with the snow towing hotspots. I thought that was interesting, and I'm not sure what conclusions I draw, except they seem to be near train stations, near the train lines, and I'm actually in one of those hotspots. My house is areas that are heavily parked up and pretty dense. I wonder if there's a way to before the snow season begins, is to drop a note on cars and in residences that you're in a hot zone, and is there a way to give people advance notice, snow season is coming, here are the fines, here's the kind of notice you'll get when we have a snow emergency, these are the circumstances in which we will tow your car if it's on the street during snow emergency, and just be very specific.
And yes, I was going to point out that we actually do that.
You do that.
Yes, and we have, in lieu of issuing tickets, we have given warnings. We have a warning period, kind of like we do for street sweeping. So we have done that in the past, and we can certainly do it again with the updated snow brochure and the information reminding people.
And I'm thinking about just in our hot zones.
Yes, yes,
is
yes.
Making sure
That makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
mean, these locations, you know, typically have high student populations and others.
Well, yeah.
And so trying to get the message out any way we can is important, because again, we simply just want to clear the streets. That's, you know, and this is the last resort effort on our part to do that, so.
And we have other ways of reaching the off-campus community as well.
We do, but I just found it interesting that west of Asbury, there's no hot spots at all. If you look
Jim,
in the center of the map.
do we,
Yeah, I don't know.
do we still use the loudspeaker?
Yes, absolutely. When we
Because
go into
people tell me that, I was just at a parking meeting the other night, people tell me that they never hear that anymore.
They don't listen.
Well,
well, you know,
I know, but I know that's the case, Alderman Holmes, but I just didn't know if they weren't listening or if we aren't doing it. So
no,
I
it's
just wanted to
a
confirm.
standard routine practice for us to do that. In fact,
And when do we do it?
Immediately preceding us being on your street towing.
To
So
tow.
essentially 1 block over, we'll start making the announcements. We'll even come back on the same block and try to get people to come out of their houses and move the cars, because it's just better for us. It just makes the whole operation move faster. So,
People appreciate it.
yeah.
Alderman Grover, is that your light on for new?
I think it's important, although we've kind of framed this as a generating revenue kind of undertaking, we're generating the revenue to recoup our actual costs.
Ma'am.
And tagging then those who are responsible for creating the costs with those costs rather
Absolutely
than
correct.
spreading them out. So maybe next time we have this discussion, put it in terms of, frame it as a recouping cost type discussion, not a generating revenue, because I know what's going to happen is people seeing this as a profit center for the city or look at another opportunity to generate revenue, but this is not that. This is really trying to catch up with what our costs are on these
suggestion.
snow
Thank you.
removal operations
I
for
thought the
legitimate public
presentation-
safety reasons, yeah.
I thought the staff presentation in our packet was all about recouping expenses
Yeah.
as opposed to generate, because we're not generating revenue. We're
No.
not making a nickel off it. In fact,
It's
we're
just-
30%, I
Right.
think it's at 70%, everybody pays.
Right.
I want to
I'm
ask,
just referring to the revenue potential that's, the wording that's
all
used
right.
throughout the materials.
There's
that
about six
it's-
of us,
It's really
but-
just covering cost potential.
Correct.
about
Where are we
9
at?
of us that read all this stuff, so people don't know.
Well, some people do.
No, I
I think
know.
the people that do read it need to understand that what we're really trying to do is to keep them from paying somebody else's bills.
That's what, that's
That's
what
all.
people have to do.
And
That's
and
what
they have to understand that, so, yeah.
And that goes with all of our other issues, graffiti and garbage pickup,
Everything.
special pickups, everything. All right, so what's your prediction for snow? That's really
Thank you
important.
Too
for
early,
putting me
right?
on the spot.
Is it
I'd
gonna
like
be a
to
bad
say
winter,
no.
or what?
No, everything that I've seen so far indicates it'll just be a fairly normal winter
Normal
for us,
winter.
which is about 34 to 38 inches of snow.
All right,
So,
and
I
what
hope
does
they're
that
wrong.
cost?
I'm sorry?
What is a cost for about a normal winter? What do we think?
Well, we
Translate-
budget in our snow program about 750,000 to 800,000, and that is generally an average number, but, you know, costs can vary based on the frequency of storms.
Right.
You know, you kind of react the same way to a 2-inch you do a 4-inch, and, you know, we could get all that snow in one storm, which in some ways wouldn't be bad, really, but.
All
So
right,
that's-
so is the committee's feeling that we should accept the staff report and go with the 150 for the relocation?
Was it 150 or 200
For the relocation?
for the relocation?
What, do you want, I know, but I thought we agreed that 200 was,
200,
Over the top.
200 gets us
I know.
100% of the cost back, and the 150. So
I
when
don't think we can double it.
when we asked for the 200, the request back from council was, show us what the costs are. So we provided that to you, but we also provided an alternate. So we have no desire. It's based on whatever you recommend. That's what we will do.
Let's ratchet it up to 150 this year, and then, and we will, we won't recapture our costs right away, but then.
I think that's as far as I don't think we can double it, so, all right, would you like to
And-
make a motion?
I move that we send to council the recommendation for snow location,
We're sending it to staff.
the
ultimately.
staff, back to staff, then to come
Right.
back to council for a snow relocation fine of $150 per occurrence. And am I correct that you said $750,000, $800,000 per year for an average winter for all of our snow removal operation costs, or?
That's generally
average,
correct,
yeah.
right. Generally, but again, you know, a winter season is
Variable.
always unknown.
Yes,
Very
variable.
variable.
All right, is there a
Okay.
second to that? All right, all those in favor of referring this back to our staff with our recommendations, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Green Street ordinance.
Good evening, Chairman Rainey and committee members. I'm Suzette Robinson, the Director of Public Works, and I want to, the Environment Board has done an outstanding job putting together some goals and policy outline for complete and green streets. And they were tasked, the Public Works Department went and asked them if they would work on developing this policy for us. The board has some outstanding expertise in various environmental issues, and we felt that this would be a good place and they have conducted some research, and are bringing this before you to consider some of the goals as we work towards the development of an ordinance or resolution. And the reason why Public Works asked them to do this, it will actually increase our rating. We get scores when we apply for state and federal grants, and having a ordinance or a resolution of support from the governing body actually increases our score. So it makes us more eligible for grants. So we think it's a good thing. It's something that we're already doing anyway, and it just really formalizes the process. So Suzanne Bassan is here, who is the chairman of the Environment Board, and she will be giving you a brief presentation.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Suzette. Good evening, Chairman Rainey and alderpersons present here tonight. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Okay. So I appreciate that introduction. We were pleased to respond to Public Works Director Evanston's request that we do some research for a complete streets ordinance, and the idea of combining an ordinance such as this with a green streets ordinance seemed particularly wise, given that, again, the city of Evanston is doing already many of the things that would be comprised in an ordinance like this. Is this what I'm using? There we go. I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with the concept of complete streets per se. I don't know if it's a trademarked concept, but it is a specific idea. And the idea is that the modes of transportation which form a network are more balanced than in a typical 20th century car-centric culture where the car is king and there are no sidewalks and there is sprawl. Evanston is far from being a community like that. We do have a good infrastructure, and yet there's always room for improvement. So complete streets is a concept that it would define itself as something that benefits and serves all users, no matter how old they are, who they are, and how they travel. Here are just a few brief ideas about why we think this would make sense for Evanston, in addition, again, to the fact that Evanston is a green city and is already embracing many of these principles in its planning and operations. It does make fiscal sense and economic sense. It has been shown in the somewhere upwards of 350 communities around the country that have embraced a complete streets ordinance or legislation to be good for business, as it allows lots of different kinds of users to easily get to and from shopping districts, transit networks, et cetera. The reduction in car traffic is good for safety, it's good for air quality, and good for the climate, our climate action plan. To change practice, integrating the needs of all road users into everyday transportation planning and design practices. And that's the essence of what an ordinance would do. It would allow, it would be a kind of a template and guiding document for transportation planning. Whoops, sorry, I keep going backwards. It would be particularly beneficial to elderly, children, those who have compromised mobility, obviously. There have been a number of cities around the world, even here, where there's a couple of details about a program that's been done in Paris that shows that it's more comfortable, more friendly, more pleasant, et cetera. These are just some of the examples of ways in which complete streets policy would benefit our economy. Reduce speeding, fewer crashes, new businesses, lower vacancy rates, new jobs, higher property values, increased sales tax revenue. More details about the health benefits, again, with reduced vehicle traffic, there's fewer greenhouse gas emissions, et cetera. These, by the way, these slides are kind of generic points that are being made about the complete streets. There is also a document in your packet that gives a little more background on the research that we did and on our thinking in terms of why this would benefit the city. So I'm just going to run through these quickly. There's just a couple more. This is the timeline that we envision. If we are able to, through our conversation tonight, take your questions and have a discussion and then kind of go back to our own drawing board, we would love to be able to work up a draft ordinance that we could present to you at the November 11th Administration and Public Works Committee meeting. And this would be, of course, after consulting with legal. And we would like then to be able to introduce it to council, and with some good luck on our side, we might be able to get something passed by the end of this year. So one of the things that we really wanted to do here was to just present this concept in a very general terms without having drafted any kind of ordinance, so that we could apprise you of our thinking and what we've been doing and invite your questions and discussion in terms of how we might move forward working on this. So Catherine Hurley and Suzette Robinson obviously have been very involved in our Environment Board meetings where we've discussed this, and you know, their participation is crucial.
All right, open it up for discussion. Thank you very much. Anybody? Yes, Alderman Grover.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ms. Bassan. To the extent that all of our departments, especially the Public Works Department, our traffic engineers have been incorporating complete streets and this green sensibility into what we've been doing for a lot of years. I think it makes great sense to formally incorporate this into our policies. And whatever benefit comes from taking advantage of a better score for, is it federal and state grants, Director Robinson, would be a nice side benefit to it. But if we're already heading this way, let's just make it a part of our general municipal policy that we support complete streets, green streets.
Just a comment on what it takes to get to this place that you're hoping to go. I spent a lot of time in downtown this weekend. It is, you know, I know our intentions are good, but I believe the mess that we have on Davis Street is a crime. And I don't care how much it's going to help everybody and how beautiful it's going to look. The condition of those streets right now is almost criminal, and you cannot slow down. You cannot have a valet park your car. Valet cannot get back to the restaurants on Davis. It's an abomination, and we should never ever. I don't care how much money we save by economies of scale. We can never do a project involving so much space in such a small area ever again. I obviously voted for it, having no concept of what it would look like. It doesn't look like it's anywhere near finished. I saw a sign the other day blinking that it was over 50% finished. I just, you know, I want to support this, but I don't know where are we going to dig up next, and are we going to think about the people that are around there? And I know we had some meetings with the business groups, and why we are not being stormed by people who living depends on downtown, I don't know. But I'm very concerned that whatever you put together includes protections for the people who are going to experience the renovations and the improvements.
Thank you, Alderman Rainey, Chairwoman Rainey. It looks like Suzette has a response to.
Yes, Alderman Rainey, actually the Davis Street project, I know it probably doesn't look like this, but it's actually 60% complete, and we're looking at the overall from Ridge all the way to Hinman. What made this project particularly challenging and very different than the job we did on Church Street was because we actually had so much utility work to be done. The sewer replacement project was huge, and that is now complete 100%. The sewer work is done. We are finishing up the water main work, and that should be done by the end of next week.
Just to
And-
stop you
yes,
for 1 minute.
so-
And people in the downtown area, restaurants on weekend nights had no water, and, I don't know whose fault that was. But a water main broke, and, I mean, it's been, I think it has been an absolute disaster. I'm just saying. And I will tell you also that there are, I don't know if you want to call it gossip or stories being shared about the contractors accusing the city. And, I mean, I just heard all sorts of stories this weekend that are very uncomplimentary to us. So I just think we need to do something immediately about restoring confidence in the city's efforts downtown.
We will do it. Thank you very much.
Well, I think that once, and I know it's hard to say, I go down there all the time, and because, my church is right around the
once
corner.
it's
But I'm
finished,
just thinking that once it's done, I know people are going, all those rumors and things I think will disappear. And I hope, that the 60%, this other 40% will get finished fast. But what can we do when we have major utility work to be done like that, except tear up the
We
streets?
can't, well, you have to tear up the streets, but you have to tear them all up at once. And I think it was an effort to, like I said, have economies of scale and, get one contractor. I just think that, I believe that if we had known, we wouldn't be doing it this way. That's all I'm saying. And it's easy for us to say, oh, it's really inconvenient going to this restaurant, we'll go to this one. But the people who are down there are suffering. They really are. And hopefully the kids will come back and they'll walk and they won't care and, So, sorry to go
No,
off on a tangent, but I think it's all part and parcel. Alderman
Well-
Grover?
Looking at the Cleveland Complete Streets Ordinance, it looks like it's not a heavy-handed law at all. It really just incorporates certain guidelines for design and water management. Cleveland formed an advisory committee of local government and business probably, and then made provisions for ongoing maintenance of existing projects and required them to have minimal impact, was what I read. So I don't know what the Environment Board and staff think about what an Evanston ordinance would look like. Those seem like good points to make in an ordinance, and maybe there's more that's specific to Evanston
Right.
that we would want to build into it.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to say, I appreciate that comment, and I guess I would make a point that the idea of complete streets is not any one specific thing that would get done. And we perhaps could have had a complete streets ordinance 5 years ago and be looking at the exact same kind of situation on Davis Street, for better or for worse. In other words, and I can't speak about the project itself on Davis Street. I know nothing really, except that I don't think that the kind of disruption of business and, kind of street chaos, if you will, I don't think that is at all necessarily what one should associate with a complete streets concept. I think that may be endemic to major construction in a very busy downtown area where there are.
But the final result will end up with a set of streets that you can then shepherd and maintain, oversee, and they will be complete streets when we finish. So what I'm saying is, from getting to where we are right now to complete streets, there's a lot of pain and suffering that goes on, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that complete streets needs to deal with this in any way, shape, or form. Absolutely not. Just saying that the end result, there will be another project like this someplace, probably. And I'm just saying that we need to be wary and not let this happen again. So I'm not saying that you have any role in this at all, really.
Any other questions?
Do you want to say something?
No, I was just going to point out that we actually have had some discussions to look at how we phase things. We took a long strip from Ridge all the way, thinking that if we just spent 1 year downtown and got out of their way, people would be happy. And it may be that, much like Sheridan Road, we did that in phases and split it up, and we still have one more section of Sheridan Road, that may be another means. So we are actually thinking about how we face things differently, and we'll present a variety of alternatives when we come to council, especially when we're dealing with an area that's with lots of businesses that are potentially impacted. So we'll be sensitive to that in the future.
And that's more of a construction maintenance question than a complete street policy question, I think.
That's
Okay,
correct.
all right.
That's correct. So, thank you.
If you look at the Cleveland ordinance, they refer to all the construction issues, all of them. So anyway. All right, so I guess what you should do is your best work and then bring it back to us, and I'm sure we'll approve it.
Thank you very much.
I mean,
That's
is
what
there
we'll do.
anything anybody else wants to say? No, just direct the, does anybody want to make a motion to direct the board to, do we need that? No. All right, you've got our,
feedback.
all right, good luck. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you very much.
And next, we have update on existing procedures for our city sticker, otherwise known as the wheel tax. Going stickerless.
Stickerless.
Madam Chair, Director Robinson, members of the committee, good evening. Rick Voss, Parking Revenue Manager. We're here to discuss stickerless. It's the new program that we're trying to introduce so we can go without a vehicle sticker for 2014 for the wheel tax that is currently in use. There's a lot of different good points. We'll be eliminating the actual physical sticker. We'll be introducing our new online initiatives, which will include online payments, online applications. Again, we're discussing environment by eliminating stickers. It's another, taking some issues out of physical printing. And it actually becomes more efficient both for the resident, actually more for the resident than for staff, but it does increase the efficiencies all around. Compliance for residents. Again, they're not going to have to go out in the middle of the winter and put a sticker on the car. It's easier for them to comply with everything that needs to be done. And elimination of the vehicle sticker loss and fraud. That's a big issue because we have actual people that get into cars and remove stickers because we get reports on it all the time. So that'll take care of that. Mr. Lyons asked me to add optional stickers will be available. The thought is if somebody wanted one, we would just make a small one that says City of Evanston, use the lighthouse logo, that's it. A lot of the concern came from when you go to Chicago, they write you a ticket whether you have one or not. The unfortunate thing is that Chicago will issue this even if it's on the car. That's just unfortunate. That's the unfortunate thing that does happen. I've received them myself, and I have a sticker from a different village. So it does happen. Streamlined application process. What happens with the streamlined application process, which currently is now that most residents receive from Third Millennium that little application in the mail that has a PIC number on it, what we call a PK number or a PIC number. That's assigned because all the information we have on your car is current. So that allows you just to go on to their website, pay, done, and instead of getting a physical sticker and your receipt, your charge, whatever comes back, we automatically populate the number and store it in our database in case you ever need it. Faster processing for renewal requests, same thing. We're looking to add next year maybe we're developing a spot, so hopefully there'll be 2 boxes in it, whether you want to become an email application the next year. Do you want it by email? You say yes, we gather your information. 2015, it goes to you in email, comes back with a PIC number, you pay it, and it's
We're going to
completed.
charge people more for that?
No.
No?
No, the fees are not changing any. It's actually reducing some of our costs.
Don't we charge
some areas.
people service fee for online purchase?
No, ma'am. But the only place that I can recall that we charge is for the parking tickets, scofflaws. They get charged if they pay, but we do not charge, Third Millennium does not charge us, nor do we
Sure.
pay a fee. I'll double check, but I'm almost positive we do not. We don't add the fee anywhere within our system. Nowhere.
Well,
In other words, if you pay $75, you are charged $75, no additional fees.
I'd like us to check. Could you check on
Yes,
that
I will.
for sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Just for sure.
Enhanced enforcement, now with LPR, license plate recognition programs, we now attach that information and we balance it against state license information that we gather twice a year. We do a comparable as to who's bought, who's not. We then take those that have not purchased their wheel tax for the year. We load it into license plate recognition, and they go through the city at a rate of about 2,000 plates per shift and check the streets to see who's in compliance.
Currently, do our police officers, for example, in the middle of the night or at any time, do they check for city stickers and ticket?
Very seldom, because it basically, because of their other duties, they don't get enough time to do it, and this is why we're kind of taking it away from them, because we can probably do it more efficiently through license plate recognition using the Jeeps, and therefore everything's tied in, and they are
Because
freed
the
up to
fact
do
is,
other things.
Once we go to stickerless, they wouldn't be able to do it anyway because they wouldn't have the technology.
That's correct.
To do it.
Updated internet-based services, again, we're trying to develop a number of forms that, and we are working on it right now, where you'll be able to apply for the actual sticker online. It'll have a drop-down to tell you what information you need to present, and with a browser that allows you to go right to your own website or your internet feed, put in the documentation we need, load in so we can view it. It's the same thing with the residential permit. We're going the same route. We'll send you a PIC number if you want to apply. It'll tell you what you need. We'll verify it. Then we'll send out back to a link. We'll send you a link on how to make the payment. The payment's verified. We send you the residential sticker. We're not taking the residential sticker out yet. We're hoping to work on eliminating that in 2015. And there again, that's the license plate recognition. It was approved in 2012. It's quick, it's accurate. We've done a number of tests with it. We've worked on it for a year to make sure everything works correctly, and now we're ready that we can go to that next step into vehicle stickers.
And you're doing it now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Alderman Grover has a quick question.
Thank you, Mr. Voss. How many vehicle stickers do we issue a year?
The last time I looked, we were a little over 36,000.
And what would be the timing of this? Would this be for 2014?
This is
that we
for
would
2014.
go paperless or stickerless?
Yes, ma'am.
And what other things do we use the license plate recognition technology for?
We use it
Detecting scofflaws and issuing parking citations and what
We
else?
use it for 2-hour timed enforcement. We use it for boot-eligible vehicles. We've used it at the request of the police department on some, where they needed some information on doing some passes. So it's being used other than just for city stickers.
And it would be able to detect illegally transferred stickers?
Well, that's what's nice about it, because because it's going to be tied into the license plate.
To the license plate, but right now, can we use it to connect?
Virtually impossible.
All right.
You'd have to physically get out of the car and look, and and that's where the problem comes, because we're not looking at the sticker number, and we don't have that in the system. By tying it into the license plate, you can't illegally use it.
Right.
It's tied into that plate.
Right. Thank you.
Alderman Burris?
Hi, Mr. Voss. One of my favorite subjects here. Can you talk about how we've discussed using the LPR going forward with a few other projects that have been in the works for a little while?
Alderman Burris and I have had this discussion in the past, and what we're looking for also, it will enhance us to do other programs. For example, doing research on a shopper's permit, if you want to call it for a better term, to where Evanston residents can purchase a certain amount of parking for a certain fee per year, and you could wrap it right into the license plate recognition program. So programs like that, as we move forward, will help the residents also. So if I want to spend $300 a year, and I think that's what I spend to park in the downtown areas, it would be linked in and would be able to get. So that's one of the things that we're looking at to explore for future use. One of the. I'll come up with a few more before it's over with. But
I hope so.
there again, it's easy compliance. We don't have to worry about lost stickers.
You know what else you don't have to worry about?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have to worry about having it in your glove compartment, and the police come along, that infuriates people, they give them a ticket, and they say, well, it's in my, I forgot to put it on. Well, the law says you have to display it.
Right.
Now we don't have to worry about it.
Correct.
That's a good one.
And
Happened to me.
the only reason I'm bringing this up about lost stickers is I received an envelope back the other day from the post office that was dated and mailed from my office in September of 2011, and just returned to me 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago as undeliverable. So, and this was a vehicle sticker application. So people weren't getting what they needed. And therefore, I fear that many times they get lost, and those were the complaints we were getting. We're only getting basic vehicle information is going to be kept. It means it's simple. We're asking for license plate, what the type of car is. We'll try to gather the VIN if we can, and all we're asking the residents to do is in the future just update when they have a change in vehicle, which we're developing a process where they'll be able to do that right online and update the record so that next year we have it all done. No more theft, simple to transfer because you're not transferring the physical sticker. You're just saying I'm going from one car to another, and you're giving us the new information. Processing time is shortened. We're hoping to cut down the lines down at the end of the year where people stand and wait, because now we've got a process to where people can do it online and get the sticker.
How are we going to tell people that?
I'm sorry?
How will we tell people that they don't have to come and stand in line, they can apply on?
I'm going to work with Erica Storley and the other community engagement, and we're going to blast this extremely well. So we get everybody on board, everybody notified what they can and cannot do. We'll be finishing up the rest of the forms. We'll share with the council the links, all the forms, and share with the community, and it'll be on the web page. Because as we move forward, I want this to work going right out of the bat. We're going to have some problems, but we want to minimize those. No lag time between purchase and compliance. You're right. It's purchased. We get it. It's in the system. It's done. You've complied. Online purchase verification, and we do that through Third Millennium. We do that through back office in the revenue office itself. I'll go back to the residential permit, which everybody knows by ordinance, in order to receive your residential parking permit, you have to comply and make sure that if you have any outstanding parking tickets, they're paid. So basically what it will be doing, you'll get your PIC number, you'll apply for it, it'll go through the process, we'll verify that everything's up to date, send you back an email, link, done, make your payment, and it's over and done with. And then we send you your residential permit. That's the only physical piece of paper that you're going to see right now is a residential permit. We discussed new online services, renewals online, new applications and payments online, something we've never done before. Yes. You'll be able to apply right online with a new application with a drop-down. It will tell you the documentation that you need to have it accompanied with. That'll cut down a lot of people walking into there and being turned away because they don't have the appropriate documentation. It'll all be readily available for you, knowing what you need to do.
Alderman Grover.
Thank you again. How and when will we notify residents and tell them the good news that they should expect to pay a wheel tax, but they won't be receiving in return a vehicle sticker?
I'm hoping to finish a memo or a Friday packet to the council on exact implementation dates. At the same token, a mass campaign of notifying the residents of which way we're going. When we'll start the process, when the actual mail-outs from TMA will go, and what the new processes will be.
And you'll let us know when we can inform residents via board meetings or newsletters and what we will be telling them.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So just to be very clear, everyone is still getting a paper form this year. So everyone will know. And in the paper form is going to be instructions. If you don't want to complete it as a paper form, log on and complete it electronically. So this transitional year, everyone will get the paper form. Once we get anyone to go electronic, then we'll keep all their information on an electronic basis, and we won't be sending those forms out to them. And that definitely helps us, as Ricky pointed out, the lost form or I got it late. It's not so much that they lost it for 3 years. It's that I didn't get it until after the due date.
Or I never got it.
Yes.
That's right. Also, on that, so that it looks a lot different than other ones, we need to have either a giant watermark or some kind of different color or something, say, go online. You can do this online. Because otherwise, people are going to assume it's the same old thing, and those who always come over here will be lining up. It just happens.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Can you wait till he finishes?
Again, our current processor is a third millennium, and it'll also be processed in the city collector's office. It's a combination of both. You're still going to have walk-ins, and we still have to review some of the processes as they come in. Residential permits will be mailed out by the city collector's office. Again, like I said, we'll do through the process, we'll review everything, and if they're within the ordinance, we'll send that from the office. But that will also cut down that load, because what we're doing with the residential permits, the visitor ones, we're going to limit that because we found out that the post office has a tendency to kick them back when we stack them too high for the visitor passes. So we're going to start with, you can buy 10 or 20, and then if you need more, we can process it that way.
What about the currency exchanges that sell the city stickers? How is that going to work?
Currency exchanges will be directed to use the same form they have. They will get it, and staff will ensure that they pick it up and process it every other day. So we get through and then process, and people get assigned. They'll be notified by us. The only thing the currency exchange will do we'll let them know. They will fill it out. They will charge them, send it to us, and we will finish processing it. They cannot buy residential permits at the currency exchanges, so it's strictly a city sticker.
You want to ask your question now? You've got to come up here so we can have it on tape.
Sue Brenner, 2819 Harrison Street. So if someone doesn't go online and they use a paper sticker, can you put it online? Will you have to put it into the computer system manually so that the next year they might, if they have a computer, they might be able to access it that way?
To answer the question, anybody that comes in and doesn't do it online and walks it in, we do all the work. We'll put it into the system, we'll generate the number, and we keep it in our system, and therefore they'll still get a mail out. If we go to email, not all people are going to want email. They're still going to want regular mailers. So you're going to get either way. Here's just basically a demo form. It's hard to see. It's basically a form that staff put together. That's going to be one of the forms that we're going to use. It's a wheel tax form. It's basically simple, tells when it's due. It will have a drop down telling you what documents you will need if you're applying for a new city sticker. If you've never had one before, you're going to need a copy of your registration. It must be current. And there again, it's got a browser that you can go, and when you go in and browse, you can go to your own computer if you have it, pick it up, and then send it us on the application. So that's just one of the many forms. I've got about 8 in here that we've developed for the whole process. Payment again, approval again is that we just go through and we just make approval, especially on the initial application. Never done it before. We just want to make sure everything is there. If not, a quick email saying, could you give us this information, and then back to staff so we can process it. Then we send a link to them on payment. Once they pay, it's done.
I remember reading something in the documents about outstanding parking tickets and fees owed to the city. Did I read that?
That is strictly residential permits require by code.
For the residents.
If you need a residential permit by code, in order to receive your new residential permit, you must ensure that all parking ticket fines are paid.
Why don't we require that for a city sticker?
I
mean,
can't answer that question.
that would make more sense to me.
I can look into that.
Anybody agree with that? That you shouldn't have outstanding parking tickets if you're getting a city sticker? No? Oh, all right. I don't have any. Whatever. All right, moving right along. You almost finished?
Thank you.
Oh, you are finished. Nice job. I think we know everything there is to know. All right, any questions, anybody? No, none. All right, so this is just for us to know what you're doing, right? I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
we've already said this is what we want to do.
That's what we wanted to do.
All right. Okay, I do think it's going to require some publicity, some PR, so that everybody knows, okay? Especially with all these new Evanston vehicle sticker-only parking districts. How, I think should we redefine that or rename those?
Well, the only thing that I have to look at before we begin enforcement, and I've already spoken with Michelle Mason, had a conversation with Michelle Mason Cup, is clarification to the word displayed. It depends on where it is in the ordinance. So we get, does display mean it has to be physically displayed, or is displayed part of the license plate? So we have to work out those, but all those codes, and if there are any changes, will be changed before enforcement starts. On your very question on the EVS zones, there's still going to be a need for some EVS stickers because people, like college students that come in that aren't required to have a wheel tax, but they rent someplace, are still going to have to pay a fee for that and have it. So they'll be like the residential permit. They'll still have to have it. So, but the regular people in the EVS zone that live in Evanston, rent in Evanston or whatever, and our cars are registered in Evanston, won't no longer need that EVS sticker. So again, it's just working on the word displayed.
We call the district an Evanston vehicle sticker only district.
Correct.
We might need to think of a new name for that.
I'll research that also.
Stickerless district?
Stickerless district?
We'll think of something.
We'll think of something.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? All right, motion to adjourn? Thank you. We're adjourned.